In this video, I'll be sharing the top 10 Disney villains that don't get enough credit. These characters truly deserve more recognition, so let's get started with the countdown. At number 10, Professor Ratigan, the world-class criminal from The Great Mouse Detective. This animated film takes us on a thrilling adventure with Basil of Baker Street, a detective from London, as he embarks on a mission to find a missing toymaker who has been abducted. Little does Basil know, his investigation will lead him straight into a face-off with his arch-nemesis, Professor Ratigan. Just like Basil is a clever counterpart to the legendary Sherlock Holmes, Ratigan is crafted to resemble the sinister Moriarty, one of the most iconic villains of all time. But don't be fooled by his rodent appearance, for Ratigan possesses not only the ability to manipulate others but also an extraordinary intellect that has allowed him to successfully execute numerous notorious crimes. With his cunning mind and devious nature, Ratigan proves to be a formidable adversary for Basil, pushing the detective to his limits as they engage in a battle of wits and strategy. As the story unfolds, we witness Ratigan's masterful manipulation of those around him, as well as his relentless pursuit of power and control. Undoubtedly, Professor Ratigan deserves more recognition for his role as a Disney villain. His complex character, inspired by the infamous Moriarty, adds depth and intrigue to The Great Mouse Detective, making him a standout antagonist in the vast world of Disney villains. At number 9, Lady Tremaine. You may know her as Cinderella's evil stepmother, but there's so much more to her character than meets the eye. Lady Tremaine is not just your average wicked stepmother, she is completely obsessed with her self-image. In the first Cinderella film, Lady Tremaine goes out of her way to make her stepdaughter's life a living nightmare. She treats Cinderella with utter disdain and favoritism towards her own biological daughters. It's clear that Lady Tremaine's self-image is so important to her that she is willing to go to extreme lengths to maintain it. But her villainous behavior doesn't stop there. As the Cinderella franchise continues, Lady Tremaine's actions become even more despicable. She not only forbids her daughter Anastasia from pursuing true love, but she also stoops so low as to steal the fairy godmother's wand. With this powerful tool in her possession, she attempts to undo Cinderella's happily ever after and rewrite the past to make it favor her instead. It's truly astonishing how Lady Tremaine's obsession with her self-image drives her to commit such heinous acts. She is a prime example of a Disney villain who is often overlooked and underrated. At number 8, Claude Frol. This guy is seriously twisted, making him one of the most sinister villains in Disney history. We first encounter him as the main antagonist in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and boy does he wreak havoc. What sets Claude Frol apart from other Disney villains is the extent of his wickedness. Not only does he keep poor Quasimodo hidden away from the world, depriving him of a normal life, but he also goes on a rampage against the Romani people in Paris. This guy is responsible for the deaths of countless innocent Romani people who were simply trying to find a better life for themselves. What makes Frollo even more chilling is the fact that his actions are driven solely by his corrupted sense of morality. He genuinely believes that he is on the side of righteousness, even though his beliefs are completely twisted and morally wrong. He sees himself as a righteous crusader, determined to rid the world of what he perceives as corruption and sin. But here's the kicker. Frollo is completely blind to his own dark actions. He fails to see the hypocrisy in his prejudices and cruelty. This makes him an even more despicable villain, as he remains stubbornly ignorant of the error of his ways. It's truly disturbing to witness someone so consumed by their own warped beliefs that they can't even recognize the evil they're perpetrating. So, let's not overlook Claude Frol when discussing Disney villains. He may not be as widely recognized as some of the others, but his sinister nature and corrupted morality make him a truly underrated antagonist. At number 7, Lotso, the teddy bear who runs the daycare like a prison in Toy Story 3. Now, you might not think that a cuddly teddy bear could be intimidating, but let me tell you, Lotso proves that looks can be deceiving. In this beloved film, we follow the adventures of Buzz and Woody as they find themselves donated to Sunnyside Daycare. Little did they know, they would encounter Lotso, a Lotso-huggin' bear who has taken complete control over the daycare and all the toys within it. Lotso's reign of terror begins as he transforms the once joyful daycare into a gloomy prison. He enforces strict rules and punishes any toy that dares to disobey him. But what drives Lotso to be so cruel? Well, it all stems from a heartbreaking experience in his past. You see, Lotso was once abandoned by his old owner, Daisy. This traumatic event left him bitter and unable to believe in the love that children can have for their toys. As a result, Lotso becomes obsessed with control and power. He manipulates the other toys, using fear and intimidation to maintain his iron grip over the daycare. One particularly disturbing aspect of Lotso's reign is how he handles new arrivals to the daycare. He assigns them to be handled by the less than careful toddlers, putting them at risk of being mishandled or even destroyed. It's a chilling display of his desire to maintain control at any cost. At number 6, Ernesto De La Cruz, who only cares about his own success. In the movie Coco, we initially believe that he is Miguel's late grandfather, but as the story unfolds, we discover that he is actually a much darker and more sinister character. It turns out that he is responsible for the death of Miguel's true grandfather, Hector. Ernesto and Hector were once aspiring musicians and friends, but when Hector started feeling homesick and wanted to return to his family, Ernesto's true colors were revealed. He poisons Hector, stealing his songs and taking credit for them. With nobody to stop him, Ernesto rises to fame as a renowned musician, and even in the afterlife, he continues to bask in the adoration of his fans, living a lavish life in the land of the dead. It becomes evident that Ernesto is willing to do anything to maintain his luxurious lifestyle and keep the truth hidden. He goes to great lengths to prevent the truth from coming out, until unintentionally, it is revealed during one of his concerts. This revelation shocks both Miguel and the audience, exposing Ernesto's true nature and the depths of his deceit. At number 5, King Candy from Wreck-It Ralph. Now you might be thinking, how could someone who seems so sweet and sugary be a villain? Well, that's exactly what makes King Candy so devious and cunning. At first glance, King Candy appears to be the jovial ruler of the game Sugar Rush, but little do we know, he is actually hiding a dark secret. It isn't until later in the film that his true colors are revealed. You see, King Candy is not who he claims to be. In reality, he is a character named Turbo, an older video game character who is desperate to regain his fading fame. Driven by jealousy and a desire for power, Turbo starts game hopping in the arcade, eventually landing in Sugar Rush. Once there, he takes matters into his own hands and reprograms the game to make himself the rightful ruler. But here's where things take a heartbreaking turn. In order to solidify his reign, King Candy takes away the livelihood of a young child, Vanello. Vanello, one of the film's main protagonists, is transformed into a glitch by King Candy, effectively isolating her from her fellow characters in the game. It's a devastating blow for Vanello, who is left feeling alone and misunderstood. And all of this is orchestrated by the seemingly innocent and cheerful King Candy. So, while King Candy may not be as widely recognized as some other Disney villains, his actions and manipulation make him a truly underrated antagonist. He shows us that sometimes, the sweetest smiles can hide the darkest intentions. At number 4, Zera. You may remember her as one of Scar's loyal followers in The Lion King II, Simba's pride. After being banished from the Pride Lands along with the other Scar loyalists, Zera holds a deep-seated hatred towards Simba and is determined to take over the throne that Scar had lost. Zera's character is defined by her cynical and oppositional nature, which greatly impacts the lives of her children, especially Kovu. She raises them with a burning hatred for the Pride Lands, Simba, and everything they represent. While she may not show much affection towards her other children, Nuka and Vitani, Zera places high expectations on Kovu to eventually lead the opposing Pride. She is willing to go to extreme lengths to avenge Scar and regain power, even resorting to extorting her own children. It's fascinating to see how Zera's relentless pursuit of power drives her actions and shapes the lives of those around her. She is a complex and underrated Disney villain who adds an intriguing layer of darkness to the Lion King universe. At number 3, Noose, who thrived on the fear of others in the Monsters, Inc. universe. In this fascinating world, the belief is that human screams generate the much-needed power to sustain their entire world. And who plays a crucial role in harvesting these screams? None other than Monsters Incorporated, a company led by the ambitious and competitive CEO, Noose. Imagine a business where workers compete fiercely to become the best at scaring. That's exactly what happens in Noose's company. He runs a tight ship, pushing his employees to their limits in order to extract the maximum amount of screams from children. It's a high-stakes game, as the success of Monsters Incorporated hinges on their ability to scare and collect this precious resource. However, when the city of Monstropolis faces an energy crisis, Noose takes matters into his own hands and helps devise a plan that puts innocent children in danger. It's a shocking revelation that this seemingly respectable CEO would resort to such extreme measures. And while he is eventually thwarted by the film's protagonists, it becomes clear that Noose shows little remorse for his actions. But here's the twist. It turns out that children's laughter is just as powerful as their screams. This revelation adds an extra layer of complexity to Noose's character. It raises questions about his motivations and whether his pursuit of fear was truly necessary. Perhaps there was a different path he could have taken, one that didn't involve endangering children's lives. At number 2, Evelyn DOr, or as she is more commonly known, Screenslaver. This cunning and conniving antagonist makes her debut in the action-packed film Incredibles 2. Initially, she is introduced as the business partner and mastermind behind her brother Winston's successful company. Together, they have a grand vision of bringing back superheroes and restoring their glory. However, it soon becomes clear that Evelyn's motives are far from noble. Underneath her charming facade, Evelyn harbors a deep-seated desire to keep superheroes in the shadows and maintain their illegal status. She cleverly uses her intellect to manipulate and control these extraordinary beings, forcing them to carry out her nefarious plans. By exploiting their powers, she manages to hold influential individuals hostage, all in an effort to paint superheroes as dangerous and unnecessary. Evelyn's well-thought-out scheme almost succeeds in achieving her twisted goals, but she fails to account for the intervention of the Par children. With their own super abilities and determination to do what's right, they become an unexpected obstacle in Evelyn's path to victory. Despite her near triumph, it is ultimately her underestimation of the Par family's resilience and resourcefulness that leads to her downfall. And at number 1, Dawn Bellweather from Zootopia. At first glance, she appears to be a kind and helpful member of the mayor's office, but little did everyone know, she had a hidden agenda. Dawn is the perfect example of someone who manipulates others to further her own career, even if it means causing harm to innocent beings. Dawn Bellweather is a master of deception. She manages to fool everyone in Zootopia, including the main characters, with her innocent facade. She starts off as an underappreciated member of the mayor's office, someone who is often overlooked and underestimated. But deep down, she harbors a burning desire for power and control. Her ultimate goal is to give prey animals, like herself, more influence and dominance in the city. She cunningly uses her political knowledge to manipulate the situation and make predatory animals feared by the general population. She sees this as an opportunity to rise in ranks and secure her position of power, even if it means ruining the lives of others. Dawn's actions are driven by her deep-seated resentment of being overlooked and her desperate need for control. She despises the feeling of being underestimated and wants to prove herself to the world. Her hatred fuels her every move, and she is willing to go to extreme lengths to achieve her goals. What makes Dawn Bellweather such a compelling and underrated Disney villain is her ability to blend in with the crowd. She is not your typical evil character with an obvious menacing presence. Instead, she operates behind the scenes, pulling the strings and manipulating those around her. Her cunning and calculated nature make her a formidable adversary, and it's easy to see why she is often overlooked in discussions about Disney villains. And that's the video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing as it really helps the channel grow. See you in the next one. Take care.